Hello everyone, my name is Benjamin from Benjamin's Outdoor Adventures, and today I'm going to be going over my personal picks for bushcraft tools that I prefer when going camping or just doing some bushcrafting near my home. Now my top 4 picks, and I do apologize if any of the noises or interruptions in the background. Family is over. For my first pick, I would suggest a good bushcrafting knife, or as some people call it, a survival knife. The overall length of this knife, which I would recommend, but the ultimate choice is up to you, is a knife that has a total length of 9 inches with a handle length a little bit bigger than this one. I'd recommend anything 9 inches or larger, but nothing too large. The blade length I would recommend is something around 5.5 inches at most. This knife, as you can see, is a little small for me, so personally I'd like a bigger handle. But for you, it may depend on your current applications. Total blade length is approximately 5.5 inches. Sorry, brain fart there. And this knife does do quite a bit for me. And I would also recommend, if you're getting a bushcraft knife or survival knife, that you go with something with a full tang construction. As you can see, the tang in between the two. Yeah, pardon my brain farts here. In between both handle scales, full tang all the way down, as that is much stronger, lasts you a lot longer, and you can do a lot more with it. With this knife, I can baton it into wood and use it to chop down more wood, as well as you can use it to shave feather sticks, cut cordage, and help with maintaining my camp. I would recommend that you go for knives that are well reputable. This knife is an Ozark Trail, and while it does serve quite well, I did buy this at pawn shop, so I can't make fully accurate assessments, as it was used and I did have minor damage before I received it. Also, I have no idea if this knife comes with a sheath or not. I had to buy this sheath separately. My second tool, which I find to be very, very useful in my opinion, is your standard buoy knife. As for this buoy, this is a CZO buoy. I do not recommend CZO, as a CZO does come with very poor quality and some interesting steel. This knife, overall in length, is around 18 inches, with the total actually 15 inches, sorry. The total overall handle length of 5.25 inches, and the blade at 10 and 3/4 inches. It actually fits me quite better than most knives, and I actually like it for its size. I would recommend buoys like this with an aggressive taper to the edge that you be very careful as to the weight of most buoys. The weight being up here, you can easily limp wrist it, and if it bounces back, it can catch you in the head, or if you swing it back without a hard wrist, it can come back and smack you in the head. With blades like this, they're very utilitarian in my opinion, for the reasons that they're heavy enough that you can use them to chop down or cut down wood, split them, kindle them, and use it to cut down smaller trees. Nothing bigger than maybe 8 inches in length, in diameter I mean. Any more than that, you're pretty much going for a headache. Also, with most buoy knives, I would recommend full tang construction, similar to all bushcraft knives. With buoy knives and their heavier weight and the larger size, they can be used for a myriad of things, and they do last quite a bit longer. As for anyone wondering the reason I apologize for that interruption. But like I was saying, with knives like these, I would recommend that you get knives with a guard, as it does prevent any debris or material that you're cutting or beating to get on your hands or cut you pretty bad. As well, a blade like this, I would recommend companies such as Condor, Albion, Colt Athena, and Gold Steel if you want to get a buoy. Now, keep in mind, I would highly recommend knives with full tang construction, a good guard, and of steel that has higher retention and of higher quality than this. Also with buoys, because of their heavy weight and their size, you can use them besides chopping down wood, cutting kindling, and making firewood. They can also be used for, well, if you get good enough, you can use them to skin and possibly hunt with. This is quite well. Along with buoy knives, if you ever heard the old statements and rumors, you can actually use these things to dig. I don't recommend that, but you can. You can dig with almost any knife actually, but still. Also with buoy knives like this, because of how thick they are and their balance, as you can see, the blade wants to tip a little more. I recommend a blade with the balance right about here, near the guard, as that gives you much more control. And if you have a large tent right here where there is no blade, you can put your finger up here to give much better control and stopping. But still, wouldn't I recommend that? Stay behind the guard if you want to be safe. As well with a blade like this, its overall blade length will give you much longer edge for cutting or slicing things very easily. I have a piece of fat wood here and I want to show you something. This is a hardened sapwood or fat wood. This thing is about hard as a rock, as you can hear. But yet, it shaves extremely well. I was being very delicate on that, but let's go with a nice draw. Doesn't do anything. You can cut it very well, and fresh pine. Now I would recommend, if you do have a knife like this, not to continuously cut harder woods or use it on woods like the one I just shaved, as it does very well dull the blade. You can use it for anything, but I do believe maintaining your knife and being choosy on some of the woods you do have is better. That sounds ridiculous, but that's just my personal thing. Also with a blade like this, because of its heft, well, I already mentioned that, because of its overall length, it does add intimidation factor if you get yourself into a bind. As well, the length does give you more reach, because sometimes when you're needing to cut things, you want to have a little bit more reach just in case, you know what I mean? Overall, I would recommend the buoy highly. If you want more videos on buoy knives and bushcraft knives, or using them as weapons, as well as tools, I recommend Skallagrim and Corporal. I'll attempt to leave a link to their channels down below. As well with buoy knives, I do recommend that you find something that fits your personal self better than something you can buy at Walmart, because with buoy knives, it's kind of finicky in the fact that you might get one that fits your hand real well, but the balance may not be to what you would need, and you could easily hurt yourself. Please keep that in mind. Now, to the third item on my list of good tools to use is everyone's favorite and an American classic, the Tomahawk, or rather any bladed hatchet or axe-like tool. Now this can be used as a weapon, but I primarily use it as a tool. With an overall handle length on this particular one, has an overall handle length of 18 inches with an overall blade length of 5 inches. With a head weight of 2 pounds. With something like this, it provides significantly more comfort and ease to cut down small trees, brush, and, well, it can be used to hammer in stakes, although I would recommend that you err on the side of caution and safety, because when you're hammering things in such as stakes, nails, and homemade spines, because of the way you're hammering it from the back, you could come back and hit yourself with the blade. That's why I say err on the side of caution. Now there is huge benefits besides using this to cut things and shave things. If your blade is sharp enough and you're able to, you can use this to shave wood very easily and make your feather sticks and whatnot. It can also be used as a defensive tool, as well as a very well regulated bush tool. Personally, I very much like this. I've used this very hard and ruggedly over the years on cutting down small trees and removing brush from my home. Now, an interesting thing with this tool, unlike your buoy knife or other large blades, is you can actually store it more compactly than you think. Using a rock or my hammer, I'm able to detach the handle from the blade and store it somewhat compactly within a 4-inch section of my bag, 4 by 19, which honestly takes up less space than my buoy knife. My buoy knife I have to hang on the outside of my bag or on my hip with this leather thing. With this, it is very easy to reattach it to, because of how it's made. There's only one way to put it on, and it secures it quite well. But putting the blade on right here, and letting it drop, and then getting it straight on and 10 stringing, you can hear no wiggling, no racking. It is a very good tool for me because of how most hatchets and axes are, or axe like tools are, or axe like weapons. They are very utilitarian. You can use them for a variety of things besides their intended purposes. You can also use this to cook with. I've done it once, and as far as I can tell, it hasn't damaged or inherited the metal of the blade all that much. I used it to make a couple hoe kicks. Anyway, with something like this, it is recommended that you go for better quality tools, as this low quality iron can bend. I don't know if you can see the blade all too well on this. Right here, it bends because I was hitting a hard oak, and this is pure iron. But anyway, it does retain an edge, and you can use it quite well. If I was to make recommendations as to any company or website you can go on to get a good quality axe, hatchet, or tomahawk, I would recommend Albion, Cult of Athena, Cold Steel, and Condor. SOG does produce some good tools, but I haven't yet, so I haven't tested them, so I can't make an honest review or make an honest recommendation because I haven't tested anything from SOG. I would love to test their things, but they're kind of hard to get. With that being said, these are my top 3 picks for any beginner tool or any tool that you might want to use, or my top 3 personal tools I use in my bushcraft camping bag and whatnot. And honestly, I wouldn't have them any other way. I'd like to thank you for watching, and hope you had enjoyed this video quite well. If you stuck around this long, then congratulations, you're awesome. With that being said, leave a comment down below, or ask me a question. I love answering questions. Have a good one.